Shalakaya chakshurun militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttaparakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatang Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabhadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitangscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gope Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrsabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So again, welcome everyone, and welcome back to Saturday Sanga. It's so nice. It's it's a big encouragement for me each week to have us all together. We can have some Krishna Katha, Hari Katha, as some prefer to say, Vaishnava Katha, and to sing, even though we are separated. We're connected, we're simultaneously connected and separated by electronic medium. Medium means what goes in between and what connects. So we're connected in some way. So that's nice. We can be grateful for this. Things could be worse. Sometimes we feel things could not be worse, but actually things could be worse. Excuse me. So we want to sing now the second of 3 songs of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur of his series Lalasa from the Gitamala, and the translation first. Again, it's dekhite, bhulibo va Kabe, nija-sthūla-paricoya, nayane heribo, braja-pura-śobhā, nitya cid-ānanda-moya. When will I be able to leave this plane of my gross bodily identity far behind? Within a split second, I will completely forget about all these false external affairs and behold the exquisite beauty of the transcendental realm of Vraja, which is completely paraded with eternal conscious bliss. That's a nice translation. Paraded. The second verse, I shall then take birth in Barshana, the town of King Vrsabhanu, and I will be married nearby in the town of Yāvat. My sole disposition and character shall be that of a simple cowherd girl, and I shall not know any other mood. And the third verse, I shall obtain my own eternal spiritual body, transcendental name, and specific type of beauty and dress for the pleasure of Krishna. And when, by the power of Sri Radha's causeless mercy, will I be allowed entrance into the pastimes of divine love of Krishna? And when is a question word. Loibo va Kabe. As I go, the last verse, as I go with a water pot on my head to draw water from the Yamuna river, I shall cherish remembrance of the mellows of conjugal love that unite Sri Radha with Krishna. Thus, being enchanted by their divine love, I will madly sing the glories of Sri Radha, just like a raving lunatic. Prema mukta hoye pagalini pray. Gaibo radhara yasha josho. Okay, let's see what we can do. If you have the song verse, the verse transcription, you can sing along. I remember when I was a kid, on television, there was a show called Sing Along with Mitch. It was some guy named Mitch something, and he would sing a song and they would show the text and they would have this bouncing ball so you could follow the text as he sang. Okay, that was a flash from the past. All right, here we go. We have one note that doesn't like to be in tune, I think especially when it's humid weather. Dekhite, dekhite, bhulibo Kabe, nija-sthūla-paricoya. Dekhite, dekhite, bhulibo Kabe, nija-sthūla-paricoya. Nayane, heribo, braja-pura-śobhā, nitya cid-ānanda-moya. Nayane, heribo, braja-pura-śobhā, nitya cid-ānanda-moya. Vrsabhanu-pure janama loibo javate vivaha Kabe Vrsabhanu-pure janama loibo javate vivaha Kabe braja-gopī-bhāva hoibe sabhava āno-bhāva narohite braja-gopī-bhāva hoibe sabhava āno-bhāva narohite nija-siddha deha nija-siddha nama nija-rupa svavasana nija-siddha deha nija-siddha nama nija-rupa svavasana radha kripa bole loibo Kabe Krishna prema prakarana radha kripa bole loibo Kabe Krishna prema prakarana jamuna salila ahana-negiya bhulibo jugala rasa jamuna harane-kiya bhulibo jugala rasa prema mukta hoid pagalini pray gaibo radhara jasa prema mukta hoide pagalini praya gaibo radhara jasa Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, haribo, 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 go, haribo, nitya go, haribo, 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 go, haribo. Okay, again, the translation with the Bengali. This is another Lalasa song, so longing. But before we had Bhajana Lalasa, we had several songs. Now we have Siddha Lalasa, longing for perfection. And in this song, Bhaktivinoda Thakura is describing his perfection that he longs for of being a manjari, assistant to Srimati Radharani. He's anticipating this situation, and he's asking, when is it going to happen? Kabe. When will I be able to leave this plane of my gross bodily identity far behind? Nija-sthūla-paricoya, this gross body. Sthula means gross. Nija means own, my own physical body. Paricoya, giving up completely. Within a split second is the translation. I think that's going with paricoya. But possibly also, yeah. I will completely forget, bhulibo, about all these false external affairs. That's against, well, paricoya then, yeah, would mean affairs, external, sthula, gross external affairs. And behold, behold means to see. It's a kind of elegant English word for to see with, in a meditative way. It's a nice word for darshan, actually. But it's here a translation of dekhite, seeing. Behold the exquisite beauty of the transcendental realm of Vraja. Nayane, in my eyes, heribo, I will see. What will I see? Braja-pura-śobhā, the radiant braja-pura, the town, the village, the place of Vraja. Nitya, cid-ānanda-moya, which is eternal and full of knowledge and bliss. Moya means constituted of, filled with, constituted of. He's translated this. Dasharat Sutta Prabhu, I think, has translated, which is completely paraded with eternal conscious bliss. That's very interesting translation. I shall then take birth in Varshana. Varshana Pure, janama, loibo. Loibo and future tense, I will take. And janama is janma, meaning birth. I will take birth. Where will I take birth? Vrsabhanu Pure, in the town, in the place of Vrsabhanu. which means varshana. And yāvate vivaha hobe. Hobe is hoibe, will be or will happen. What will happen? Vivaha, my marriage. And where will the marriage happen? Yāvat, in the village of Yāvat. Braja-gopī-bhāva, this is his disposition. No, sorry, correction. His disposition, svabhava. Well, svabhava and braja-gopī-bhāva. His soul, svabhava, and character, braja-gopī-bhāva, I guess, shall be that of a simple cowherd girl. Āno-bhāva, na rahibe. I shall not know any other mood. Oh, I see. Ana means anya. Anya means other. Another bhava, na rahibe. I will not hold on to, I will not keep any other mood than this. So I will have this exclusive mood. It's not going to shift to something else. I shall obtain my own eternal spiritual body, nija-sthūla-deha, nija-sthūla-nama, my transcendental name, and specific type of beauty, nija, rupa, and dress, svavasana, for the pleasure of Krishna, Krishna prema prakarana, and when, by the power of Shri Radha's causeless mercy, Radha Krishna Bole. Bole means with the power, the strength of Radha Kripa, the mercy of Radha, loibo, I will obtain, va, Kabe, again the question word, when will I obtain? And va is sort of or, but I think it works also as and. And when, by the power of Shri Radha's causeless mercy, will I be allowed entrance, Krishna prema prakarana, into the pastimes of divine love. Prakarana, the area of Krishna prema, the place of Krishna prema. And then, so he's anticipating having this spiritual body of a gopi, a manjari. He doesn't use the word manjari, but it seems to suggest that. And he's anticipating entrance into the place of Krishna prema, where Krishna is exchanging loving exchanges with his devotees. And finally, Jamuna salila aharane gya bhulibo jugalarasa. As I go with a water pot, let's see, on my head to draw water from the Yamuna River. Okay, aharane gya, aharane, coming to the Yamuna. I shall cherish, let's see. Bhulibo should mean forget. I will forget. That doesn't make sense. I will understand. Bhulibo jugalarasa. As I go with a water pot on my head to draw water from the Yamuna River, I shall cherish remembrance. Okay, bhulibo. Bhuj is to remember. Okay, I will remember. Jugala rasa, the rasa of the meeting, the duo, the couple. Yugala means two together, yugala rasa. Thus being enchanted by their divine love, prema mugda hoije. Mugda means drowned or sunk. Pagalini prai means being more or less mad, being basically mad, being a pagal. Pagal means mad. Female, pagalini prai. Gaibo, I will sing Radhara Jasha. I will sing the Jasha, the glory of Radhara. So that's nice. He's becoming more and more anticipating perfection. There's one more song to this set of 3 songs, Lalasa, and I believe it's that third one, which is what I was remembering. He's going to describe his very great ecstasy of chanting the holy name. Hare Krishna. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dhama ki jai. Okay. Again, welcome everyone. Oh, I better check. There's all kinds of... Okay. Good. I better put this somewhere here. All right, how's everyone? Hard for everyone to answer, but yes. So, yeah, again, I want to welcome. We have some not so frequent visitors. We have Astrid has come to visit us, and I think I saw Sita Sundari visiting us. And I may have seen, oh, look at that. Let's see. Okay. Yes. Okay. I'm just looking through who's here. Don't worry, I'm not taking roll like in school. And I meant to say in general, some were kind of maybe a little unsure about this, to please feel free to come and go. Sometimes you have other things to do at this time of day on Saturdays, that's fine. We're not gonna think, oh, what happened? Where is such and such? It's a kind of open invitation, and when you're able to come, that's great, and when not, that's also fine. Okay. Now I want to first ask. Oh, is he there? Yes, Dinanath, you're there. How would you like to tell us something about cows?
What, Guru Maharaj? Every day is the same day.
When did you, where are you? Are you hiding?
No,
Oh,
I just to figure out how it's on
how
the
it all
function.
works.
Yeah, because this is my first time and
yeah,
I need some time to learn this, you know.
yeah. No, it's okay.
I'm not expert in this, you know. But
which year did you first? Maybe I should explain. Dina Nut's been taking care of cows and also horses for so many years, and that's what I wanted to ask you. How many years? When did you first?
26th first in for Prabhupada Centennial and years before.
Okay.
And because I know this because we made in that time I still stay. Actually, we have temple in Pula. In Vincuran, there is one place near to Pula, and I want to have the cows, and I made some arrangement with the mother of Durni Riksha. Because I stay full time and I cannot buy cows, you know, because Purjit will, you know, put me on the on the universe. But I made arrangement with her that, for example, because I have Brahmana initiation and she wants to give some donation for his benefit, to give some donation to Brahmana. And mother of Durni Riksha tell officially, I give these cows to Dinanath, you know. And we made one small barn in the front of the temple. On the side, because we have some piece of land, and on the south side we made maybe 2 with 2 near to Mataji Ashram. And then
so how many cows in the beginning?
One sattva.
One cow.
Yeah, one cow. Yeah, small cows. And my idea, because we have planned to start some community, that whole community has some cows, you know, because this is very auspicious for people who take care for these cows, you know. And I was a very big optimist in that time, you know. And I think that one cow is not so much for a whole community, you know. But anyway, everything is gone. The temple is split on 2. One part of the temple go to Osijek, and some part of Pula temple go to Valtura. And then devotees tell me, you know, this is your cows, this is not our. And I say, okay, yes, it's my cows. I made all arrangement, and I get one small bulls, charan, and in that time this is 3 months old.
Oh, this is Charan, who is Boshkarin cow.
Both of this is Boshkarin. Boshkarin is one kind of the cows.
Yeah.
Actually, this is Istrian original cows. I'm not born that explain what means Boshkarin. In human world, you have a different blood group, and you can test, when you test the blood, you see which kind of cows is the human is, A, B, 0, or something like this. Cow has 24 different blood groups. And when we test the Boshkarin, the blood, we made proof that this is original blood. That means that didn't exist from anyone.
Purebred. No mixture. Whoops, we lost connection, I think. You suddenly froze. Okay, meanwhile, maybe hoping Dina Nut can come back. Oh, maybe it's me who's, no, I'm connected. Can everyone hear me? Yes. Dina Nut's explaining these cows. Actually, the second one is a bull. are a particular breed that are extremely rare. I believe he told me, oh, are you back? Dinanath, are you back? You have to turn on your microphone.
Yeah.
Okay,
because we stay far away from the city, and our connection is blocked from the forest, because forests protect us from different waves around us, and we have problems with this connection. I don't know how much you hear from my explosion.
It stopped just before you were just explaining that Charan is purebred Boshkarin.
Boshkarin, also Sattva, and other two kids of her, Nandini and Sura. And now Charan is died, Sattva and Nandini, because it's old. Now I have now I have two Boshkarins, three. This is Vadi. I buy a new one from the slaughtery, and her name is Vadi. Because when you give some name of the cows, I hope so that these cows accept this, how to say, this description of the name, because I need peaceful cows, because Istrian cows are a little bit wild, because this is a step between wild animals and cows. Because you cannot breed Istrian cows for milking, for example. Because in nature, in wild nature, the animals, when reject the babies, and milking immediately stopped because of disease. If milking continue and baby don't drink milk, this mother becomes sick. But usually cows for milking take the baby, and people took the babies and continued the milking. But Istrian cows, you cannot. If you split the calves from the mother, she immediately stop. In 1 to 2 days, she stopped milking. No milk, and because there is the milk, and I keep together the calves and cows almost 2.5 years together. And after 2 years, the calves become cows, is the same size like mother. And she fell down on the first legs and start to drink milk. And I jump from other side and steal the milk also. Because cows took from one side, I took from other side.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now you have 3 cows?
3 Istrian and one Nila. This is, if you remember, this black cow.
The black cow you still have.
Yeah, she's my puppet, She also we buy her. You give her name, and we buy these small cows from one neighborhood in 3 months old, when she was 3 months old, and now she's 16 years, big cows, and maybe I don't know. It's interest to say that she in beginning of her life, after 2-3 years, she become given the milk to me without breeding. I can took milk from her without breeding, without anything. She just give the milk, And there is one veterinarian from Slovenia when coming. And he says this is impossible, If a cow doesn't have the baby, she cannot give milk, This is, But we go on the field, took the cups, and I took the milk and give him you test. Is it milk or water or alcohol?
Is it milk? Yes, it's milk.
Yeah. Yes, but how is possible? This is not good for her. I say, why? We don't took a lot of milk. We took 1 glass of milk per day. It's nothing. And now I see I moved to a new place, and now I see all the cows. This is 4 cows and 8 horses altogether.
8 horses.
Now it's only 8. 8, yeah.
Only 8. Wow.
Only 8. Usually I have more because I like horses. Horses is most beautiful.
Yeah.
Especially when it runs and when you jump on the horse back, and this is
sometime you can maybe meet your god sister Gaura Kishori in Poland. She's a professional horse trainer.
Really?
Yeah, but she just had an accident a few days ago. One of her horses kicked her in the face and chest, not knowing, she says, not knowing that she was behind him.
Yeah. This is always dangerous because horse are the animals of the reaction, you know, cannot think, just react, you know, and people must be very careful with horses.
Yeah. Sometime, if you agree, I would like to have you join another group, which I have every 2 weeks. This is devotees in Europe concerned with cow protection and agriculture.
I'm also agriculture man now. I become.
Good. So you have both qualifications.
Yeah, but you know, agriculture is actually doesn't go together with cows and horses. One old lady says the God is put the Cain and Abel. I don't know the history.
Oh, I know Cain and Abel.
One is one is the agriculture man, and other has the animals. Not mixed.
and one of them killed the other.
But you know, we need our food, you know, and cow protection is satisfaction for Krishna, and serving the cows is most auspicious activity. But agriculture, in that time, we need our food. You know, this is it will become very, very important things. You know, actually, most important. If you have your food, you have everything.
You're actually doing what most of us just talk about doing.
Yeah. Now we live in a very dangerous time, you know, and I don't know how much all of you follow this, but actually I collect the water from the rain many years for animals, for field, for everything. And in last 10 months, for example, I see that the rain were coming from up is not the same like before. For example, you know, three days ago we have raining, and I must get out all the water because it's a red color. The animals cannot drink this because, you know, and 10 days before was some yellow powder around, you know, with rain. Before, when rain coming, completely clean, you know, after 2 hours, everything, this dust and I think other things fell down, and the water
settles.
is clean. Yeah, but now it's not clean anymore, you know. Yeah. And you know, everything what you eat is covered with this, you know, what's coming from up. We don't
chemicals.
know what is this. And last year we have situation, this is first time in April, in that time, for example, in the morning, and it's take about 7 to 10 days. Some small insects, this is amazing, like millions. And eating even because I have the fruit trees, and I put around the mint and other we call kadulya and other small herbs who protect, you know, the tree from insects because there is aromatic. But these insects who are coming, these small black bugs like this, you know, eat even that, you know.
They don't care.
Everything eat, you know. This is amazing. It's like like you take from some pots and just put, this is millions of this, and take about 15 days, and after 15 days it's disappearing. And when you ask someone, I say, sorry, I don't know, I'm not qualified, If you bring this yellow powder, please test me, what is this, because, oh, sorry, we are not authorized, we cannot do now, it's pandemic, we cannot do this, you must test it and this. Everything, so many people put so many things in this time, and
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it's not easy to live.
Okay.
Yeah, but
So
I accept your invitation. Indeed.
Okay, thank you. We'll work out. We'll plan some time for that. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for telling us some cow kata, etc.
Yeah.
Now let's see. Does anyone else have something you wanted to show and tell? Okay, let's see. No, everyone is being very quiet today. All right. Sita Sundari Mataji, do you want to tell us about your recording singing experiences or your prasadam distribution experiences? Anything? She's hiding, I think. She's maybe too embarrassed. She's not responding. Okay. Anyway, in any case, then I have a couple of things to read. Before I forget, I think it's today that Kaveri and Rati Krishna are getting married in Boston, and we can offer our congratulations. Apparently they're having a wedding on a small boat in the river. So I'm sure there's a story behind that. Maybe we'll hear that next week or this week. Someone want to explain? No? Okay. Then, what else? I have notes here. I should start mentioning, it's still quite early for this, but I'll start mentioning now that on June the 5th, a Saturday, I have another engagement during this time that we usually have the Saturday Sanga. Whether we should shift to a different time or just skip the week, that we'll have to see. But June 5th, that's going to be the case. Okay, now, 1 or 2 days ago, I kind of randomly opened a very nice book, Yamuna Devi, A Life of Unalloyed Devotion. Dharma Gupta, can you share screen with the first page of the text and then our translators? I think it would be before this. With a heading, it says Sankirtan in Surat. Oops. Yes, that's it. Okay, this is a very nice little vision of ecstatic Sankirtan in India in 1970. And I thought this is especially nice to have as a meditation. It's well, you'll see at toward the end what happens, but it's especially nice considering what's happening in India today. The pandemic has gone completely, as we say, off the charts. Just hundreds of thousands of people are, new people are getting infected with this COVID virus every day. So India is in a very, very troubled condition right now. And so to give us a more positive vision of India, here we have Yamuna Devi's remembrance from when they were together with Srila Prabhupada in Surat. Surat is one of the larger cities of India. It's in Gujarat. And she says, and I will just read, and our translators can see on the screen, you can all read. So there was one Nagar Sankirtan in Surat that struck me in the heart, just like lightning. It was the culmination and fulfillment of Srila Prabhupada's words. Our group of Sankirtan members had been informed that the next morning our Nagar Sankirtan would begin at 4 a.m. and proceed through some of the main streets of the town as it was awakening. In India, of course, almost everyone rises early, unlike in the Western world. They take advantage of the coolness of the morning to bathe, clean, and perform their spiritual practices. And so it was a very good time for Nagar Sankirtan. We had gathered and were all walking through the streets chanting very ecstatically. Hansadutta Das led Kirtan for an hour or so, and then I led. Also, Revati Nandan Das led for a while. It was very wonderful, and after about 2 hours, we were all decorated externally with many garlands of flowers, and internally with the glorious chanting of the holy names. Sometime between 6:30 and 7 a.m., all of the people were out building their morning fires, and a haze of smoke stretched lazily across the early morning sky. The sun was just beginning to peak above the horizon on the long dirt road we were traveling on. By now, a good-sized crowd of people were following behind us. And as we continued down this dirt road, it took a slightly upward slope that then crossed a river. As the road became a bridge, we began moving toward the center. And just as we reached the crest of the bridge, the top of the bridge, in the middle of the river, the sun rose across the trees, and Srila Prabhupada was standing in the dead center of the road. That means right in the center of the road, with this light illuminating from all sides of him, just as if he were the rising sunlight itself. That picture is burned in my memory. It is still very emotional to think about this. There he was, with his hands raised and his robes draping on the ground. And he looked just like descriptions of Lord Chaitanya. He was so powerful and so beautiful. I remember all of the devotees simply went mad with ecstasy. First, having this wonderful Nagar Sankirtan, and then seeing Srila Prabhupada in this surreal way. It was unbelievable. Surreal means like unreal. And then, I think if you go to the next slide, yes. And then His Divine Grace personally walked through the streets with us and chanted on Nagar Sankirtan until about 8:30 a.m. We had this little bullhorn microphone system, and I was leading kirtan at the time. Then Srila Prabhupada motioned for someone to get the bullhorn, and he began leading us in a new melody of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. We were simply transported. There's no other way to put it. Walking behind Srila Prabhupada, actually following in his footsteps, as the party wound its way through the streets of Surat, was the promise, the fulfillment, the highlight, and the perfection. We had the added catalyst of being told each morning in Srila Prabhupada's Ajamila lectures that no small service rendered is ever lost. And here we were experiencing the fulfillment of that promise. We were being given a taste of the transcendental realm. And there's a short, whoops, I have to, okay. Sri Narayan Prabhu, excuse me, but I'm right in the middle of a meeting. If you can call after, let's see, after 1 hour. Okay, Hare Krishna. Calling from Chennai. He wants me to give a class. There's a short further memory from His Holiness Giriraj Swami. As we would pass down the street in procession chanting Hare Krishna, the people would come out to offer us respects. So practically every half a block or every 1 block, we would be stopped by some householder who would come up with an arti tray and offer arti to us with a flame and put kumkum on our foreheads and place garlands around our necks. One day in particular, it seemed that every few steps we were stopped and worshipped and garlanded. And pretty soon, we started getting 10, 15, 20 garlands around our necks. And we didn't know what to do with them because we had never had this experience. But it became so much that we started to have to take them off and throw them back to the people in the crowd who would very eagerly grab for the souvenir or the prasadam from the devotees. So it was like another world altogether. So this is a very nice, a nice vision I thought to share with you. This distributing of garlands just now reminded me also of His Holiness Indradyumna Swami. Whenever he arrives somewhere in an airport, devotees are there waiting for him, and of course they bring him garlands, so he receives the garlands, and then he makes it into a preaching program. He immediately takes off the garlands and gives to bystanders, to people who are just, looking and wondering what is going on, who is this? He'll then give them the garlands. So it's very nice. So that's a nice vision, a nice memory of Sankirtan with Srila Prabhupada. One feels as if one had been almost there with the devotees, with Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Anyone else have something? Otherwise, we'll go into our Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Guru Maharaj, I think that Mataji Sita is here unmuted, so maybe...
Oh, yes. Hare Krishna. Sita Sundari Mataji. Is it possible for us to see you?
No.
No? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Huh?
Can you hear me? Yes.
We can hear you, yes.
Oh, Hare Krishna, everyone.
Are you going to tell us something about your singing recording project?
Well, actually, just right now caught me in a moment where I don't know really what to say at all. Caught me on the spot.
Tell about your prasadam distribution to the recording engineers and musicians.
Oh, that's okay. Oh, that story. Okay, so I go now and then to a music studio to record songs, and I always bring a lot of prasadam. And then this particular story, I think Maharaj is referring to, is a few weeks ago, and I had brought vegan prasadam as a whole meal for everyone. And then I went out for a while, and I came back in, and I was thinking, it's so silent. Where is everyone? And have they all gone home? And I couldn't hear anything or everyone. And then I came into the big room, and everyone was eating and eating and eating, and completely quiet and still and eating. And it was just such a wonderful moment of being absorbed in prasadam, and it made me so happy. Yeah.
The power of prasadam.
Yeah.
It makes even musicians and recording engineers go silent.
Yes. Yeah, that was very, very wonderful.
Yeah, Sita Sundari is recording some songs in English language of her own composition. And I think soon there's going to be some sort of release, no?
Yes, hopefully soon. We have finished one song called Cry of Mother Earth. It's quite an intense song about the state of the world and how Mother Bhumi is crying, and how we all need to come together to save her and to heal her. And yeah, and Maharaj is always so kind to give me feedback on the songs, since he's such an expert. So yeah.
I'm the fault finder.
Oh, you're the expert fault finder.
Okay, expert fault finder.
No, I couldn't do it without you, so thank you very, very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so I did a little preparation this time. Can I share my screen, Dharma Gupta?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, you can share.
Okay. PowerPoint, share. Ta-da. Okay, and we'll go back here. Just, yeah. And we can do this. Okay. Anyway, I was playing around with this morning. I decided, why not make some notes about what we're reading? So here we are with some notes, and it goes back to what we started some time ago. Whoops. Not sure if that's quite how we want it. On my screen, it's become too large. Is that because I have two screens open, or is everyone seeing okay, the full picture? Or
Gaura Maharaj, maybe you can put a full screen, so it will the full size of the slide will come to the screen, or maybe you have to zoom out a little bit. I think you zoomed in. Yes, now it's better.
But it's still like okay.
It's in editing mode. It's not like a presentation mode, but it's still it's fully visible. It's fully visible.
Presentation.
How's that?
Now we can see also what you see, also like a next slide and current slide.
Yeah, so, and then it does that.
And this is, if you can maybe zoom out, put it on, please, on full screen and zoom out a little bit, if you can do it with a mouse roller, control mouse roller.
I don't know. Presentation, where you pointed, where did you point?
Presentation.
Basically, this is okay, if you can maybe. I don't know.
Slideshow.
Yes. Play from the start.
But then it shows.
Not this.
No, I think the problem is that I have two screens open. Let's just have it like here. I think that'll be okay.
Yeah, this is okay.
Everyone can see?
Yes. Fully visible, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we are going back now briefly to verse 105 of Adi Lila chapter 7. This is the beginning of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's explanation to the sannyasis in Varanasi, the Mayavadi sannyasis, the followers of Prakashananda Saraswati. And here I've just put sort of brief outline, what is being said, or what is the theme of each of the verses. And so with verse 105, we see that the sannyasis are all ready to hear from Mahaprabhu. They're inviting him to speak, and they're expectant, and they're appreciating his purity. And then Mahaprabhu begins to speak. And the first point that he makes is about how is it that Vedanta sutras have authority. Because the reason he's bringing this up is because Vedanta Sutra is a core text of Vedanta. This is what the sannyasis are very busy discussing in their assembly. So he's reminding them, or he's telling them, that the author of Vedanta Sutras is Vyasadeva. Now, this is a little controversial. It's not mentioned here, but it is a bit controversial, or maybe very controversial. The name Badarayana is the name given to the author of the Vedanta Sutras, also known as Brahma Sutras in general. And in general, scholars and pundits, and I think also followers of Shankara, would not identify Badarayana as Vyasadeva. But our acharyas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the six Goswamis, Jiva Goswami in his Tattva Sandarbha, very explicitly says Badarayana is Vyasa. And that's significant because who is Vyasa? Vyasa is understood to be an avatar of Lord Narayana. Vyasa is not always an avatar of Lord Narayana, but in this particular instance, or when he appeared as Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, it's understood he is none other than Narayana. So then if Narayana himself has composed Vedanta Sutra, that's significant. We want to know what Narayan, what Vyasa, what is it that he wanted to tell us? What is it that he wants us to understand? Then in verse 107, Krishna's Kaviraj elaborates, telling us what is Vyasadev's specific qualification. He has no faults or doshas in the matter of knowledge. Here the technical term is pramana, or the source of knowledge. And so all of us, conditioned souls, we all have these four faults, these Brahma, Pramada, Vipralipsa, and Karanapatava. We make mistakes. We tend to be in illusion, Pramada. Then Vipralipsa, we tend to be not completely straightforward. Not at all straightforward or truthful. And Karanapatava, there is a shortcomings in our senses. Our senses are imperfect. Vyasa is not covered by these faults. That's what Mahaprabhu is telling these sannyasis as the beginning of his explication on Vaishnava Vedanta. And now he's going to explain about how to interpret the statements of the Upanishads and the Vedanta Sutras. Vedanta Sutra is explanation of the Upanishads. We can say it's a very compact, compressed explanation. What is the message of the Upanishads? There are so many. It's said there are 108 Upanishads. Of these, for the study of Vedanta, there are 11 or 13 are usually listed, 10, 11, 13 Upanishads, including the Isha Upanishad, or Ishopanishad, which is one of the shortest Upanishads. It's only 18 verses. It also includes the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad, which is the longest of the Upanishads, and it's also considered the oldest. And then there's the Chandogya, there's the Prashna Upanishad, the Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, and so on, Mandukya, and so on. Maybe I should get a little water. Voice comes back a little bit. Okay, so then in the next two verses, he talks about Shankaracharya, because these are all followers of Shankaracharya. And he's putting him into context, so to say. You're all following Shankara, but what does Shankara do? He's giving you an interpretation of the Upanishads by an indirect process, by indirect meaning of the words, gona vritti. The word vritti can mean function, and gona comes from the word guna, and it means related to quality. It comes to mean something like connotation in English. In English, we have denotation, which means direct meaning, and connotation, what is the sense of something. And the example is given of, one example is given from Bhagavad Gita. Is given from Bhagavad Gita. I don't know which verse, sorry. But Krishna addresses Arjuna as tiger amongst men, or tiger amongst warriors. So of course, Arjuna is not a tiger. He is not a four-legged animal with claws and so on, and with stripes. He's a human being, but he is compared with a tiger with respect to certain qualities of a tiger. So there's a limitation to that. It becomes an analogy. If we were to take it directly, we would say, we would be looking out on the battlefield, maybe with Sanjaya, and looking, where is there a tiger? Let's see, is there some tiger animal out there? No, obviously that's not the meaning. So that's gona vritti. What Mahaprabhu wants to say is that it's not a good idea to interpret these sacred scriptures with gona vritti unless it's necessary. And in most cases, it's not necessary. Now, he doesn't say that exactly here, but in the Tattva Sandarbha, we find out that sometimes it's necessary. And so sometimes the Vaishnavas interpret Upanishadic texts using gona vritti very consciously, because to use mukhya vritti doesn't make sense, taking into considering all the totality of what the Vedas are giving. Well, that's kind of another subject, but here the point is Shankaracharya, he says, is just doing his job, so he is not at fault. (111) Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, and this is a little difficult to see exactly how his reasoning goes, because what we're getting here is an extreme summary. What we're getting is not, strictly speaking, an argument with the, with the precision one would require if one were to deal with some learned scholars in Vedanta who are Advaitavadins. This would, so what is Krishnadas Kaviraj doing in writing this? He is not writing for the Mayavadis. He is writing for the devotees. And the devotees are already convinced. So in a sense, he's simply confirming what the devotees, if they don't already know specifically what Mahaprabhu has spoken, he is giving them enough to feel satisfied that Mahaprabhu is speaking in a convincing way. This is my understanding. So in verse 111, he says, he's making a identification. He says, Brahman is Bhagavan. Now this is a huge jump because the Upanishads are all talking about Brahman, and there's not very much talk about Bhagavan. And to say that the one by direct interpretation means the other is seems like a bit of a jump. The explanation for this comes in the Tattva Sandarbha, which is explaining from the Srimad Bhagavatam, a very, very, very important verse for our philosophy is in Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 11. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam yad jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. It's giving a definition of advaya jnana, of non-dual knowledge, as being threefold: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And Jiva Goswami elaborates extensively on this one verse in his Shat Sandarbhas, especially in, well, several verses of Tattva Sandarbha, and then the Bhagavat Sandarbha, and the Paramatma Sandarbha, and Krishna Sandarbha. But here he's just making, in a sense, he's jumping right to the conclusion. He's saying, Brahman is Bhagavan. And what or who is Bhagavan? He is full of opulences. And he is supreme, and he is without equal. And that's significant because Brahman, as generally understood in Advaita Vedanta, is not full of opulences, rather has no opulences, has no energies, simply is. Okay, then, so we're going forward. Verse 112. Okay, this is where we left off last time. So I'm going to read the Bengali. Tahara vibhuti deha shabad chit akar, chit vibhuti achari tare kahe nirakar, chit vibhuti achari tarekahe nirakar. So the two keywords here are cid-ākar and nirakar. And the word akara can mean form. Let's see, I had it in the dictionary. Let's see if I still have it here. Yes, akara means form or figure or shape, appearance. Can also mean an expression of the face. But in any case, the context here is it means form. And what sort of form? Conscious form, cid-ākar. So Bhagavan is chit, he is conscious. And he has form. This is where the Mayavadis depart, because they say, no, Brahman is nira-ākar. And they will quote from Upanishads to make this point. And so the question becomes how to interpret and to sort of jump ahead in a way. What Jiva Goswami argues is if you want to understand Upanishads, you need to understand the Vedanta Sutra or Brahma Sutra. And if you want to do that, you need to hear or read or study the Bhagavatam. Why? Because the Bhagavatam is written, compiled by Vyasa, Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa, who is the same compiler of the Vedanta Sutra, and he's compiling the the Srimad Bhagavatam as a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, one of his purposes. And then in 113, he elaborates, well, I'll read the translation, 112. Everything about the Supreme Personality of Godhead is spiritual, including his body, opulence, and paraphernalia. Mayavada philosophy, however, covering his spiritual opulence, advocates the theory of impersonalism. As I mentioned last time and the time before, I encourage everyone to read also the purports to these verses. And you may have found, if you have in the purport to this verse, in the second paragraph, Prabhupada says, Mayavadi philosophers do not know how it is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is formless. The Supreme Lord does not have a form like ours, but has a spiritual form. Not knowing this, Mayavadi philosophers simply advocate the one-sided view that the Supreme Godhead or Brahman is formless, nirakara. Now, this is interesting because I think it helps to, as a response to this question that came up, I believe it was Mangala Chandrika was asking, how is it that Mayavada is so dangerous? If we just hear it, we're finished. One way to understand this is that what is Mayavada? In a sense, it's a one-sided truth. Or another way we say in English, it's a half of a truth. So we have a saying in English that a half a truth is worse than a lie. So the nirakar, the understanding of formlessness, is true. There is a formless aspect to the Lord called Brahman. And Mayavada is saying that Brahman is the ultimate reality. The ultimate reality is a formless, avyaya, which means without division, and therefore having no parts. So formless, having no parts, having no distinctions, and so nirvishesha, and that's why in Srila Prabhupada's pranam mantra we say nirvishesha shunyavadi paschatya desha tarine. He is, we offer obeisance unto the tarin, unto the deliverer of Western paschatya desha lands, which are nirvishesha shunyavadi deshas. They are lands of non-distinction and voidism. Non-distinctionism and voidism. So the point is, and Prabhupada says it nicely here, they're advocating a one-sided view. And so the Vaishnavas, in one sense, we have no argument with, or we would have no argument with the Mayavadis if they were simply Brahmavadis, and they would say the ultimate reality is Brahman, and that would be the end of the story. But in terms of danger, what I wanted to say is part of the danger is one could, if one feels so much strong aversion for the material world that one simply wants to escape, one is simply thinking of moksha, mukti, one simply wants to get rid of suffering, one may want to jump out the window, so to say, of the burning house of this material world into this oneness. The problem will be that, to take this analogy, if you're jumping out of a upper floor of a house, you will kill yourself in the process. You'll land and smash yourself, and thus it becomes, and this is then what Prabhupada sometimes calls spiritual death. Now the greater danger, if you like, and this comes up later in the verses, I believe, the greater danger is that one becomes aparadi to the Lord. We become, if we take the Lord as being material, as having material form, and therefore something subordinate to Brahman, then we destroy the possibility to engage in bhakti. Because if Krishna is material, then why should I bother? And if because I'm also, my condition is also material. And what is the difference between myself and Krishna? Then we start to see ourselves perhaps as good as Krishna. And then the possibility of relationship where we are subordinate to the Lord becomes lost. And that means the possibility of bhakti is destroyed. So before that happened, Vaishnava Vedanta, and that's what we're getting a little dose of in these discussions of Mahaprabhu. So then he says he is elaborating in verse 113, cid-ānanda-moya tare kohe prakrita shattvera vikar. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is full of spiritual potencies. Therefore, his body, name, fame, and entourage are all spiritual, cid-ānanda. This is a standard term that's used, kind of technical term. We hear of Sat-Chit-ānanda, Vigraha. So chit, we sometimes translate as consciousness or knowledge. And sometimes we can translate simply as spiritual. The Mayavadi philosopher, due to ignorance, Tara Kahe, says Kahe, that these are all material, these are all merely transformations of the material mode of goodness. Tare kahe prakrita sattver vikar. Vikara means a transformation. Prakrita sattva means material sattva guna. The Mayavadis say that Ishvara, the Lord, is manifest in Maya and is constituted of sattva guna. Oh, this is a problem. This is a major problem. Then Mahaprabhu goes back to talk again about Shankaracharya, reassuring his audience. And here I think it's a nice reminder of the tone in which this discussion is going on. Mahaprabhu does not want to offend his audience. He wants to speak truth to them, so he's speaking quite directly. And at the same time, his purpose is not to, upset them, make them angry. So he says in verse 14, Tara doshanahi tenho agya karidasha aro je shunetar hoy sarvanasha. Shankaracharya, who is an incarnation of Lord Shiva, is faultless. Why? Because he is a servant carrying out the orders of the Lord. But those who follow his Mayavadi philosophy are doomed. They will lose all their advancement in spiritual knowledge. So he could say, you, all of you that I'm speaking to, you're actually doomed. But he's not saying that because he wants to deliver them. And so he's speaking in a general way. People who follow him, they will be doomed. In a way, he's saying, you don't have to follow him. Those who do follow him, hoy sarvanash. So he is speaking strongly, but he's not being offensive, certainly, to them. Let's look at 2-3 more verses quickly. Okay, 115. Prakrita Koriya Mane Vishnu Kalevar Vishnu Ninda Aranahi ihar, upar. So to consider Vishnu's body as material, this is, Prabhupada translates blasphemy. It's an offense. Ninda is the word. Vishnu Ninda. One who considers the transcendental body of Lord Vishnu to be made of material nature is the greatest offender at the lotus feet of the Lord. There is no greater blasphemy against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah, that's speaking rather strongly. Vishnu Ninda Aro Nahi. More of a Ninda. There is none stronger than this. And verse 16. Okay, now we get an analogy, which is explaining the relationship between us, the jivas, and the Lord. And you'll all be familiar with this, I'm sure. Ishvare tattva jena jvalita jvalana jiver sharupa jaiche spulingera kana. The Lord is like a great blazing fire, and the living entities are like small sparks of that fire. So this is an analogy. Analogies are frequently used in Shastra. A lot of analogies are used in the Bhagavatam. Analogies work by taking us from something familiar to something not familiar, or less familiar, or something concrete, something abstract. Sometimes analogies that Shastra gives may be a bit strange for us. We're not familiar with what the Shastra wants us to be familiar with. And there's going to be one analogy that comes up soon, the touchstone analogy, which I personally am a bit troubled by how it's meant to work, but it's something we can discuss later. Then the analogy is meant to, of course, tell about what is common and what is different between the Lord and the jiva. There's something in common. Sparks are like fire. They have the same substance. And sparks are also different. They are ānu, they are small, whereas the fire is great. Very often Jiva Goswami uses the sun and the sun rays. In the Tattva Sandarbha, he explains this analogy points to a method, the sort of beginner's method, you could call it the kindergarten method for a conditioned soul to understand the nature of the Lord. And he elaborates the analogy this way. He says, imagine that someone has lived their entire life in a closed room, never having seen the sun, and windows are very well closed. There's absolutely no light coming in. This, by the way, is an analogy similar we find in Plato, Plato's famous cave analogy. But in this case, he says, now imagine that a small pinhole of light is allowed to come through into the window such that the person in the room, of course, will see that little bit of light. And it will be very striking that the nature of that light will be very striking in contrast with the darkness. And a person who's familiar with the sun, who lives a normal life, can then explain that what you see has the same quality as its source, which is extremely much brighter than what you see. And I'm not showing you that bright light yet, because if I show you, you will be blinded. But he gets an idea. So essentially what the analogy is for is to understand, we can understand the Lord by understanding ourselves. What can we understand about ourselves? First of all, that we are conscious, chit. And so then it says in verse 117, Jiva tattva shakti Krishna tattva shakti man Gita Vishnu Puranadi tahate praman. He's going to be introducing a couple of references from Gita and Vishnu Purana. The living entities are energies, not the energetic. The energetic is Krishna. This is very vividly described in the Bhagavad Gita, the Vishnu Purana, and other Vedic literatures. So, Jiva Tattva is a Shakti, Tatastha Shakti of the Lord. And the Lord, Krishna Tattva, described here as Krishna, or identified, again, Krishnadas Kaviraj, in his description or summary, we might want to say he's making a big jump now to identify Bhagavan as Krishna. Again, Jiva Goswami needs, you could say, hundreds of pages to get to that explanation of how Bhagavan is Krishna. But here he's very much summarizing. Krishna Tattva Shaktiman. Krishna, the Tattva, here we can say Tattva means truth or reality, or we can also say category. The category, the ontological category of Jiva is Shakti, and the ontological category of Krishna is Shaktiman, the possessor of Shakti. Well, as I said, you're all familiar with this, but it's good to hear it again. And it's good to hear how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as Krishnadas Kaviraj is describing, is giving us this very brief summary of Vaishnava Vedanta. He wants to strengthen our faith in the Vaishnava culture, in particular the practice of bhakti. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is blessing us in this way. Hare Krishna. Maybe we can close the shared screen. I can do that. Okay. Stop share. There. Okay. See if any of you are still here. Maybe you all ran away. Oh, you're still there. Ah, you just woke up. No. I hope you're finding this interesting. Is anybody doing the homework, reading the purports? I think Dira Lalita is reading the purports. And you want to say something. You have your hand up.
Oh, Hare Krishna Gurumaj, I couldn't unmute myself. Yes, Gurumaj, I've been reading very much purports. And as I did last time, but somehow I forgot what I read. So I was reading it again. and I came to 114 verse of this chapter, and I have a question, if that's okay to ask.
Yes.
Well, when I was reading the 108 verse of this chapter, last time you spoke from the how the Lord instructed Shankaracharya to propagate Mayavada philosophy, but then Lord Chaitanya said that if you read it and follow it, you're doomed, right? So you explained it clearly that Shunyavada teachings of Buddhist teachings are ending with nothing, which is zero. Then you explained that Shankaracharya brings the Vedas back because Buddhists have negated Vedas before, and then Shankaracharya brings the Vedas back by saying that we are all one. And now you mentioned that Lord Chaitanya doesn't blame Shankaracharya because he was following the instructions of Krishna. And then these are leading steps to Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy that preaches the ultimate goal of Vedas is to understand and serve Krishna as a person, which I understand that Krishna is one, the supreme, and we are one to serve him. So that makes it two. That's my personal understanding. So my question is a question is very speculative. So I apologize in advance very much, really. But it sort of came naturally from the heart. Could have that been a test of the Lord for those people, humans, who really want to know him? A test in order to go for one of these streams. It's either Buddhism, or it's a Mayavada, or it's the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. Or was the Lord giving varieties of philosophies to people to fulfill their desires, to pursue different paths in this lifetime, giving them a choice to continue living in this world without the Lord, or to change their minds and realize that we all belong to Krishna, and then that we are supposed to pursue the Krishnalist philosophy, meaning going to connect to the Lord, going back to God.
Not completely sure I'm getting your question, but let me just, because the time is short, I think we can say like this. The Lord always has multi-purposes whenever he's making arrangements. He's always accomplishing more things than one. And so here's certainly also the case. He's sending, in our Vaishnava understanding, he's sending Shankaracharya to move people away from Buddhism to get back into the shelter of the Veda. So that's like, it's going to be a big jump to go from 0 to 2. So let's go from 0 to 1 first. And so it's a kind of, in that sense, you can say a therapeutic step, a therapeutic process. But also, and I think you were saying this, there are those who want to stay in the material world. Here's a nice way to do it. Be in the shelter of the Veda and maybe do panchopasana worship, become a smarta. Many followers of Shankara are smartas, following a smarta tradition. And sort of be happy in this world, and eventually, and you can hope to eventually merge with Brahman if that's what you think is the desirable thing. And it's also the Lord's way of covering intentionally, because Devotional service is a rare thing, and he wants to keep it rare, apparently. It's strange because Manushyanam Sahasrish Kaschid Yatati Siddhi, out of thousands, one will pursue spiritual life. Out of thousands of those, one will know me. And we want to ask, well, can't Krishna change the statistics, the probabilities, so that more people can know him? Doesn't seem that he wants to. And so there's a hiddenness, a secretness. And Shankaracharya, we understand, is serving that purpose also. And that way he's serving a purpose which is similar to that of Maya Devi, whose function is to cover the conditioned souls who have turned away from the Lord. She covers them. This is also discussed in Tattva Sandarbha, to put them in a position of suffering, of fear in particular. Bhayadvitiya biniveshata syat. They're put in a position of fear, and fear is a very good position as a starting point to begin spiritual life.
Wow.
It's a good initial motivator. And so Maya Devi has that service. Shankaracharya has a somewhat related service. That's my understanding.
Thank you so much very much.
Okay.
Wonderful explanation.
So, all right. I think, yeah, I think it's that time again when I will say thank you all very much indeed. And a little message, Rasodadi Hari, if you're there, maybe I can call you or you can call me in about half an hour.
Cook it, is it?
Yeah, okay. All right. Yes. And, Olia, thank you, Olia, for the t-shirts. She's an expert seamstress. Yes. And Madai Jivan was very happy also. Okay. So I wish you all a very nice remainder of this May 1st and a very nice month of May. I wish you all to keep well, keep safe. Please keep praying for His Grace Pankajangri Prabhu, who is now back in Mayapur, but still in very critical condition. And for all the devotees, there's so many devotees in Mayapur who are sick now. And yes, may the Lord deliver us from this evil, as they would say in the Christian tradition. Okay, thank you all. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vaishnava ki jai. Srila Prabhupada. Gaura Premanande Hari
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So much.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Thank you.
Thank you.